You're watching SABC News live from Johannesburg. Your headlines this hour. The mother of a 5-year-old girl who was raped and stabbed to death on New Year's Day says she will remember her daughter as a bubbly and friendly child.
This is actually a whole year thing. So straight after Carnival, we take about a 2-month break and then we start again.
The Cape Town Street Parade, also known as Deur de Nuwe Jaar procession, will fill the streets of the CBD today. The mayor of New Orleans says security will remain heightened in the city following the death of 14 people in a terrorist attack on Wednesday. Good afternoon, thank you for joining us and welcome to the first edition of the Week in Review in 2025. For the next 2 hours, we will be reviewing some of the biggest stories of the week. My name is Mariketa Mutlabe and it's wonderful to have you with us as always. We start here. The annual Cape Town Street Parade, traditionally known as Deur de Nuwe Jaar, is currently underway in Cape Town. The entertainment will start with an opening ceremony from Grand Parade in Cape Town CBD, with celebration continuing until 10 p.m. Minstrel troupes will march across Hanover Street in District 6 and Rose Street in Bokop to perform their signature sounds. Abra Babia is on this story and joins us live from Cape Town City Hall. Very good afternoon to you, Abra. What are the streets of Cape Town currently looking like?
I can't even explain to you what the streets of Cape Town are looking like, and hopefully we'll be able to bring you those visuals as the day goes by, because it's actually just an unbelievable. There's a great vibe here. You can hear the music behind me, and this is going to be carrying on the entire day. And we are only in one section of the route that they are going to be walking along today, because there are people. But are you able to just? He's not able to show you right now, but it's okay. We'll bring you those visuals later on. I'm going to speak to Riyad Peters now, one of the operations directors of the Cape Town Street Parade, and he's going to explain to us more about logistics and exactly what we can expect today. Thank you so much for speaking to us. So we're expecting around 100,000 people today. Let's first delve into a bit of history before we go into logistics of the day.
How's it? Hello to everybody out there watching. If I'm honest, I said this yesterday, I'm only 30 little bit of years old, and this carnival or festival or parade is more than a century old. So if anybody's going to speak history, it needs to be someone way older than what I am. But if you want to know a little bit about it, there are going to be 100,000 people out here today, like there have been for a lot of other years. And that shows how deeply entrenched into Cape Town's texture this carnival and culture is. So yeah, I think that's for history.
And in terms of people still wanting to come in, will there still be enough space, or so people are going to be coming in throughout the day?
There's the Hollywood Bets Purple Mile that's on Darling Street, and there was only 700 seats available there, all sold out. So now people can find other spaces along the route, all the way from Salaudi Road, all the way up into Bokop, Rose Street, the end of Rose Street. So anywhere there you can find yourself the best seat for yourself and enjoy the festivities.
So this is actually a competition, right? What are these troops vying for?
Okay, so competition started on Wednesday the 1st, and they're vying for the title Carnival Kings, and it's 14 different items that they do, either choral items, or it's choreography items, or it's a solo vocalist ballad type items, and they compete even in Grand March Pass, which was passed Wednesday, and after all of that, in 5 weeks' time, we'll know exactly who the winner of this carnival is.
Riyad, thank you so much. I'll catch up with you later on.
Thank you.
So there you have it. He says he's only 30 odd years old, so he can't give you the history. I'm a little bit older than him, not exactly centuries old, but what I can tell you is where this festival actually started. So many years ago, when the Cape was still a colony, the slaves were not able to celebrate New Year's Day on the 1st because they were serving their masters. So they were given the day off on the 2nd, and that is where this festival originates from. So these are all descendants of the slaves, these are tourists, these are just people from various communities across Cape Town. And what these people have been camping out here for the last few days to secure seats for themselves. That's how excited they are. That is just how popular this festival is. But of course, we are going to be here all day long. I'm hoping to go down later on. We're going to be bringing you the colors, the sounds, the voices of the people. But we will definitely be here to give you more of the visuals as the day goes by. Studio?
Thank you. Ibra Babia there in Cape Town. Now to this, KwaZulu-Natal's tourism sector is impressively picking up, with thousands of holidaymakers heading to the province as their holiday destination of choice. KZN was among the provinces that took a knock as the tourism sector was hit by the COVID-19 pandemic a few years ago. The province has had to overcome challenges like floods and the 2021 unrest. Today we focus on tourism in the KZN Midlands, which encompasses the Midlands, Meander and Nottingham Road. Tourism authorities say they've had a very good season. Our reporter Jade Paul says that. To give us the latest. A very good afternoon to you, Jade. Talk to us. What can you tell us about the goings on there?
Well, a very good afternoon to you too. And yes, we have been traversing through the Midlands. It has several offerings on display for families that have travelled far and wide, who want to break away from the monotonous cities, also away from the beaches and experience wildlife and nature. And today we find ourselves here in the Midlands at a farmer's market. They're actually just wrapping up now. And this morning we were also at the Carcliff Canopy Tours, where we also spoke to them and asked them how did they fare over the festive season. Now, we have heard that several of the establishments are fully packed, but to give us a better understanding of how this particular area in KwaZulu-Natal did over the festive season, I am joined by Victoria O'Sullivan from Umgeni Tourism. Thank you so much for joining us, Victoria. So looking at projections, we've seen several GP cars, Free State, Eastern Cape vehicles on this particular stretch. Are you finding a lot of international tourists also flocking in?
Yes, Jade. So thank you for visiting our beautiful Midlands. We've actually found a large amount of tourists from Korea, Poland, Australia, all coming through into the Midlands. But again, as you've mentioned, a lot of tourists from Gauteng, Cape Town and Durban flocking up to the Midlands.
Okay, and the establishments are fully packed, Victoria. If you can just give us some projections. I know that you'll probably only be able to tally all of that next week, but how are you faring with establishments and also some of the places for those that are watching back at home that want to come to the Midlands? What amenities and activities have you got here?
So we have had an incredible festive season. It's been so busy for our hospitality industry. Our accommodation venues have been fully booked. We've had a lot of exciting events happening. Something like this market here is also always pumping during the festive season. Restaurants are just booming. It's so lovely to see our community just thriving during this time. The best things to do in the Midlands are one of the things you did this morning, which is the Carcliff Canopy Tours. We've got our Piggly Wiggly for the family-loving people. We've got our beautiful falls like the Carcliff Falls and Howick Falls. We've got incredible polo games that happen. We've got local markets, and there's just so many arts and crafts and various galleries to visit. Really, just so much to do, as well as our world-renowned golf courses that we have in the Midlands.
And what's beautiful, as you're mentioning all of this, I can only imagine the economic boost and the spin-offs that this have, especially in the arts and crafts sector.
Yes, one of the most amazing things that we actually were awarded with last year was the UNESCO Arts and Folk Arts Award, which is the only place in South Africa and I think in Africa that has won this award. So Umgeni is very proud to hold this award. So we are really big with our folk art and art. We have loads of art galleries along the Meander, as well as various arts coming up and various artists coming up from areas like Mpopomeni and Howick itself.
Great. Thank you so much for chatting to us, Victoria O'Sullivan from Mgeni Tourism Day, just talking to us about some of the areas that one can visit if you are in the Midlands, but also talking to us about the projections, looking at many holiday makers, especially families, also international tourists, Makaketla, that have flocked into the Midlands for those that want to break away from the beaches and want to really just be outdoors and experience nature. And with that, it's back to you in studio.
An interesting story there coming from KZN's Midlands. Thank you, Jade Paulson, the SABC News reporter. Now to this. A family at Duduza in the East End has been left devastated and shattered after their 5-year-old girl was raped and stabbed on New Year's Day. The grieving mother of the little girl is in disbelief and is calling for swift justice against the perpetrator.
Shattered and heartbroken over the tragic loss of her baby girl on the very first day of the new year.
The
father was told by community members that there was a baby that was thrown in the field, and he ran there because he saw that the baby was wearing a red trouser. He then ran to me to deliver such news, and when I also rushed there, I saw that it was my own child.
The inconsolable mother says the alleged perpetrator was taken for questioning and later released by police.
Police came to update us, but what is said is that the person was taken for questioning and he was later released.
The MMC for Developmental Planning in Egoruleni visited the family.
So it pains us to see umama agule state as agoso. But also we say as women across, including ourselves as a government, the fight le esilwayo kulo mhlaba esiphila kuyo, it's a difficult fight, especially for women and also children and people with disability.
Community members are calling for the law to take its course.
If he is a suspect of anything, I think the law enforcement, they know what to do. At this point in time, from our point of view, we cannot point anybody and say this is the person or this is not the person. Yes, we are relying on the intelligence of the police to come with the perpetrator.
GPV activists have urged government and law enforcement to treat such cases as a top priority. Calvin Lula, SABC News.
Now, a 22-year-old man who was attacked with acid in Kimberley in Northern Cape last year says despite the challenges and the trauma he endured, he remains positive. He sustained severe burns from the acid and was hospitalized for 3 months. It's alleged that the acid attack followed an altercation between him and the perpetrator.
Taking it one day at a time and not letting what happened demoralize him, the 22-year-old acid attack victim sustained 3rd-degree burns and spent months in hospital. He says wounds on his neck and upper body were so severe that doctors had to cut the skin on his thighs to patch the wounds. He says the incident changed his life drastically.
Right now, I'm just facing a lot of challenges with my life because of my arm now. I can't do nothing with it, and I don't have an ear. I can't listen properly. Sometimes I'm feeling like when people are talking, I'm feeling dizziness. So that's how I feel with my life.
The victim says it was difficult to come to terms with what happened to him, but having a supportive family and positive people around him motivated him to focus on his healing.
Some people advised me about when I didn't have my ear. I mustn't care what other people say in the street. I must just be like other kids in the street. So sometimes I'm taking off my mask and my things so the other kids can be used to it. How did I burn? They also ask me in the streets, how do I feel about the burns? Then I tell them.
Even though it has been the toughest year of his life, he remains hopeful and says he is grateful for the gift of life. His family says it is pleased with his progress and are patiently waiting for him to get an artificial ear in March. Tebogo Msimanga, SABC News, Kimberley in Northern Cape.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with Week in Review. South Africa's official opposition and third biggest political party, the MK Party, inflicted pain on the ANC and the EFF in 2024. Under the leadership of former President Jacob Zuma, the MK Party took the lion's share of the vote in KwaZulu-Natal during the national and provincial elections in May last year. It became the majority party in KZN and the official opposition in Mpumalanga by eating into the voting base of the ANC and the EFF. Nationally, it helped to erode the ANC's majority, which ended with about 40% of the electoral support.
Former President Jacob Zuma ditched the ANC for the new MK Party ahead of the May general elections last year, a move that ended pushing the former liberation movement below 50% at the polls. ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa said at the time that his predecessor was free to express his political views and vote for any party like any other South African. Kosatu said Zuma's decision not to campaign or vote for the ANC was a non-issue.
Calling members of the ANC MK to vote for MK. That's what I'm calling for. I'm not going to vote for the ANC. I'm going to vote for MK. And I'm calling MK members, ANC members, to vote for me, MK, so that we have a majority to change this country and rescue the ANC from the mess in which it has been put. That's what it is. Clear. It's as clear as anything.
Zuma had set the cat among the pigeons by serving electoral divorce papers on the party he led for 20 years in various capacities. This political move by the former ANC and South African president resulted in the ANC's poor electoral performance in KwaZulu-Natal, while the MK Party emerged victorious. ANC National Chairperson Gwede Mantashe characterized the ANC as having been politically obliterated by Zuma's MK Party.
We must rebuild the organization from scratch. It's destroyed.
So you are saying, essentially, what are you saying, disbandment or not?
Not disbandment, rebuilding. You know, sometimes people think that to rebuild you must disband. It is not the best option. We have tried that many times. It's so difficult to rebuild from disbandment. But if you build from the scratches, from the rubble that is there, you build it better, faster.
So what is the characterization of KZN? Can you please repeat for me, Mr. Mantashe?
What characterization?
You said that there is no organization.
It must be rebuilt. It must be rebuilt. That's where we're ahead by Zuma.
The ANC's 11 regions in KwaZulu-Natal felt the wrath of the Secretary General Fikile Mbalula. He said regional leaders were failing to revive the ANC, prompting the party's National Executive Committee to move in on the entire province after the brutal assault on the party by the MK.
The ANC have got no chance to come back. They've collapsed. ANC lost the biggest metro at eThekwini. Have lost the biggest... Moses Mabhida, you can mention all of them. You can't tell me that a leadership that is right thinking can just go to bed, sleep nicely with the belief that everything is intact. Because somebody have written you a report in your sleep and fax it to you or send it to you by email. And you believe that everything is well. It's not well. From an organizational point of view, nothing is well in KZN, nothing is well in Gauteng.
The economic freedom fighters also felt the wrath of the MK Party at the polls. The MK Party obliterated the EFF in KwaZulu-Natal and Mpumalanga whilst making strong inroads in Gauteng.
But these comrades of KZN, they fought. It was not an easy fight. With limited resources, with the vastness of that province, Balwa, Bumongezi, they fought And there is nothing that is going to happen to them. They remain the leaders of the EFF in KwaZulu-Natal. Why? They fought. Bona, lau loser. Don't lose like a coward. You must lose after fighting very hard. And that's what we did.
In the aftermath of the disastrous 2024 election outcomes, Malema's deputy Floyd Shivambu resigned from the EFF to join the MK party. A shock that the EFF leadership, particularly its president Julius Malema, did not anticipate. Shivambu and the EFF leadership announced his resignation at the Winnie Madikizela Mandela House, the headquarters of the EFF.
The chairperson of Ward 44, Johannesburg, has informed me that my membership of the EFF has lapsed. And I said, please be informed that I will not renew my membership of the EFF in Ward 44, which is one of the best performing wards in Johannesburg region. I also request to resign my position as Member of Parliament and all positions in the EFF. I will only do so after receiving a go-ahead from the organization because it is the EFF that deployed me to Parliament.
Shivambu announced that he was joining the MK party of former President Jacob Zuma, which had hammered the EFF in KwaZulu-Natal and took over as the third biggest political party in South Africa.
I will join and participate in Umkhonto weSizwe party. I am not going to speak here in Winnie Madikizela Mandela House as to what is the basis of that, because that will be tantamount to campaigning already for Umkhonto weSizwe party.
Shivambu is now the Secretary General of the MK Party, a position he took after the resignation of Dr. Sipho Masego. It's also a position that will set him up for a head-to-head battle with the EFF. Samkele Masego, SABC News, Johannesburg.
Now, staying with politics, President Cyril Ramaphosa's State of the Nation address this year will be the first presentation of the Government of National Unity's key policy objectives and deliverables for 2025. The February 6 joint sitting of the two houses of Parliament marks the official start of its program, and it will be the first it will be the first sonar of the 7th Democratic Parliament. During this opening of Parliament address in July last year, Ramaphosa referred to the GNU as the beginning of a new era. Let's take a look at how the GNU formation came about and how it has fared since.
According to various polls and political analysts, the signs were there that the ANC would lose its outright majority to lead the country. This became a reality on the 29th of May 2024.
The people of South Africa went to the polls to decide the future of our country. Ahead of the elections, they had expressed their concerns and their hopes, their wishes, as well as their expectations. Through their votes, they determined that the leaders of our country should set aside their political differences and come together as one to overcome the severe challenges that confront our nation.
9 other political parties threw their hats in the ring with the ANC to form the Government of National Unity. These parties are the Democratic Alliance, the Patriotic Alliance, the Inkatha Freedom Party, the Good Party, Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania, Freedom Front Plus, United Democratic Movement, Al-Jama, and Rise Mzansi. Each GNU minister swore an oath or gave a solemn affirmation to obey and uphold the Constitution and all the other laws of the Republic. This, however, means different things to different parties, and differences of opinion are inevitable.
Not every single dispute within the GNU needs to be met with headlines, GNU on the brink of failing, or GNU, will it last? There will be conflict. There will be differences of policy. There are 10 different parties with very different philosophies within the GNU, and expecting them to agree on absolutely everything all of the time is an unrealistic expectation. So we mustn't catastrophize conflicts that may occur within the GNU.
Next year, South Africans will head to the polls once again to vote in municipal elections. During his Christmas Eve message in Cape Town, Archbishop Thabo Makgoba told the GNU to bear this in mind.
The Ramaphosa administration did not meet our expectations. The Government of National Unity will go the same way if politicians continue to live in the past, believing they have a God-given right to rule and ignoring the fundamental need to compromise. A need that, if they do not recognize, they will be punished even more spectacularly at municipal, provincial, and national elections to come.
Come the 6th of February, Ramaphosa will announce the Government of National Unity's plans for the year. Just how united the 10 parties will be over the next 12 months remains to be seen. Abra Barbia, SABC News, Parliament.
Welcome back. Now, starting a business can be a daunting task. From developing a business plan to securing funding, the challenges can seem insurmountable. But what if you could unlock your full potential and achieve success? In this segment, we will be exploring the power of strengths coaching in driving business success. We will also delve into the science behind strengths coaching, share real-life success stories, and provide practical tips and advice on how to incorporate strengths coaching into your business. So if you are an entrepreneur or business leader looking to unlock your full potential and achieve success, then this segment is for you. Joining me today is Jenny Ruth Cogan, a strengths coach who specializes in helping entrepreneurs and business leaders identify and develop their natural talents. Jenny Ruth, thanks so much indeed for joining us this afternoon. Let's start here. Can you just start by telling us a bit about your background and how you became a strengths coach?
Yeah, so I've been in the corporate world and in the coaching world for over 20 years, leading businesses. And really, strengths coaching is something that is a passion to me because it helps unlock people's full potential. So it helps people within businesses play to what they're naturally good at. So that's my background, is really corporate background, and now bringing that experience into helping individuals and corporates through training, facilitation, and coaching to create very successful and profitable teams.
Interesting. And what inspired you, Jenny, to focus on strengths coaching for entrepreneurs and business leaders?
Well, so back in the 1990s, there was a guy called Donald Clifton, and he changed the way corporate thinks. So a lot of times we spend in corporate, we ask, what are our weaknesses? What are our development areas? Where are the gaps? But what I liked about this model, what Donald Clifton brought forward, the strengths, is he flipped it around and he said, what would happen if we studied what was right about people? And he partnered with a company called Gallup, and they developed this tool, Strengths Finder, which really unlocks business success. So for me personally, it resonated because I want to be a person who creates a difference in the world and helps people unleash their full potential.
Let's talk about that difference that you have to create in the world. I mean, just in terms of explaining what strengths coaching is and how it differs from other forms of coaching or mentoring.
Yeah, so with strengths coaching, the Gallup Strengths Finder, the chances of you having the same top 5 strengths as somebody else is 1 in 33.39 million. So I love this tool because it really distills who you are as an individual. So think about it like this. If there are around 80 million people in South Africa, there may be one other person exactly like you in South Africa. So it's quite differentiated from other tools that you become 1 of 4 or 1 of 13, or like Myers-Briggs, 1 of 16. Here you are 1 in 34 million. So you can truly distill what is your authentic self as a person. And with the strengths, it teaches you how to maximize those, how to really show up as your true authentic self, which in essence creates a lot of personal power because it helps you celebrate yourself as an individual, accept yourself as an individual, and appreciate that actually 1 in 34 million, it means there are not a lot of other people out there like you, so we can start appreciating the differences that everybody brings. So within a corporate sense, you can think about how powerful this is. So for example, I looked after, I coached a team and facilitated a workshop where we uncovered that some people in the team were being expected to present and sell the product, but actually it was not a natural fit to who their authentic self was. So this Strengths Finder helped to put that person in the right position within the business. And now, a couple of months later, when I revisited that team, they've reorganized themselves. Everybody is a lot more engaged in their business. They love what they're doing. They're more motivated to come to work. And there's just overall happiness within the job because it's not so much of an effort to go to work and do things that's not your natural thing. It's a lot easier to go to work and play to the things that you're naturally good at.
Thanks for bringing that up, Jenny, because I understand there's science behind strengths coaching. Can you just dissect that for us, please?
Yeah, so what Donald Clifton did in the 1980s is he created a tool and it uncovered what they call 34 talents. So what the tool does is you'll be able to understand what your number 1 is to your number 34 is. And it gets divided into different sections. So you've got your signature talents. These are talents that are always on. Like you're always that person. I say it's like the bones in your body. Like you can't take your bones out of you, right? But that's how the strengths are. It's literally just who you naturally are in the world. It's your natural way of thinking, feeling, and behaving. It's your natural way of showing up in the world. And then you've got things that you are that you can turn on when you need. So these become things like skills and talents that you can turn on to help you maximize what you're really good at. And then the things at the bottom are your what we call non-patterns. So you're never going to be those things, but within corporate, what we can do is identify who else in the team have those strengths, and then it creates opportunities for partnerships and collaborations.
Yeah, and you're talking about strengths, then how do you assess that? How do you assess an individual's strengths, and what tools or methodologies do you use?
Yes, so a company called Gallup, you'll go online. So what a coach will do is they'll send you a code, you'll go online, you fill in a 45-minute self-complete questionnaire. And this, it's like a personal development tool. The results from that give you your strengths from 1 to 34, and then that is typically followed by a one-on-one coaching session with a strengths coach, such as myself. And then when I work with corporates, that all ends up in a 1 to 2 day workshop with the whole team. So once you know what everybody's strengths are, you can celebrate your own, you can appreciate others, and it creates 3 things. I call them the 3 C's. So it provides information about what are individuals' unique contributions to the team, what are the opportunities for connections. So the connections are where are people in the team that got the same talents, the same strengths, that they can partner up on a project together and take it to another level. And then the last C is collaboration. So that's what I was talking about earlier. So where are the people who have things that is strong for them, but not strong for you? And so the opportunities for collaboration. So that's what ends up happening in the full day workshop. So there are 3 basic steps. It's the online self-complete survey, which is 45 minutes. Then it's a strengths coaching session, which I usually do in about 2 hours. And then it's a team leadership workshop.
And Jenny, we're talking here different businesses with different objectives. Then how do you help clients identify and develop their strengths in a way that's tailored to their unique needs and goals?
Yeah, so the nice thing about strengths is it is quite it's quite broad in a sense, in that it will uncover at a higher level who in the team are your thinkers, who in the team are your doers, so the people who execute, to get things done. Who in the team are your influencers, so like your salespeople, and then who are the relationship building. So you could work with any organization to uncover that. So for example, I've worked with labor lawyers. I've worked with CEOs in different countries. I've worked with the banking industry. I've worked with schools. So it really goes across industries because you can unpack at a broad level, what do you mostly have? Do you have thinking talents, relational talents, executing talents, or influencing ones? And then you can build your teams in a way to create a very high-performing team that's profitable.
All right, Jenny, thanks so much indeed for your time. We appreciate it. That was Jenny, who is a strengths coach who specializes in helping entrepreneurs and business leaders identify and develop their natural talents. Thanks so much indeed. Now to this. Civic movement Save South Africa and COSATU have condemned the termination of community workers' contracts. This as the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs announced that it would terminate community work program contracts of people aged 55 and older. Save South Africa fears that this move will increase the already high unemployment in the country.
A community work program known as CWP is a government initiative that provides temporary employment for people of working age. In South Africa, the working age range is between 15 and 65 years. Recently, the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs announced plans to cut this program short for persons aged 55 years and above. It says this decision was due to budgetary constraints. Civic Movement Save South Africa says this move lacks timing and proper planning.
We view this as a lack of timing and lack of proper planning. January is a crucial time for many South Africans, especially those who are underpaid and underemployed, like community workers. One of the biggest challenges about this termination of contracts for specified age is that we all know that a person of 55 years is highly likely unemployable at that age. And sadly, the very same person was receiving a slave stipend that did not even allow him or her to save for the future.
COSATU says the termination of these contracts will lead to absolute poverty and a struggle to find employment, as these workers have reached an age where they have likely become unemployable.
This is absolutely concerning because many of these persons are dependent upon these CWPs for the source of income, and we should not be sending a single South African into the unemployment queue when they have a 41.9% unemployment rate. We must also have a discussion with the Department of Cooperative Governance with Treasury on a new local government financial model. Many of them are simply bankrupt. Many municipalities also choose to outsource what is more permanent, decent work to these CWP programs as a source of cheap labor. And many of these public employment programs provide little skills and training, almost no pathway to permanent, decent employment with a living wage, and simply often become a source of patronage. But the crisis today is to address these issues of these persons who are 55 years and above, who might be plunged into deeper poverty, something we simply can't afford.
The retrenched persons are expected to receive their final payments on the 25th of this month. However, COSATU says it plans on meeting with COCTA, the Department of Public Works, and Treasury to find a solution that will prevent more South Africans joining the unemployment queue. Nothando Makutulela, SABC News, Johannesburg.
You're watching the Weekend Review, and thanks for staying with us. The move by Zimbabwe to formally abolish the death penalty has been hailed by many human rights activists as the most progressive human rights action since the adoption of the new constitution in 2013. Others believe it is a beacon of hope for the abolitionist movement in the region. Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa signed into law a bill on Tuesday which will commute the sentences of all the prisoners on death row to jail time.
We have 46 on death row, all men. You recall when we had our new constitution, the 2013, it said we cannot hang anyone below 21 or above 70, and it excluded all females.
Zimbabwean Justice Minister highlighting the impact of the new legislation.
The Act specifically deals with those that are on death row. And it specifically says in section 2, do not carry out the death sentence. Then it goes on in the transitional provisions to say we must ensure that those who were on death row, not everyone else who has life or whatever, those who are on death row, we should now bring them before a high court for resentencing.
We applaud the decision that the Zimbabwean authorities have taken in abolishing the death penalty. It demonstrates their commitment to aligning the laws to international norms and standards, but more importantly, it demonstrates their commitment to advancing and protecting the right to life and human dignity.
Human rights defenders, however, are still worried that there is still a provision to allow for the reinstatement of the death penalty when any state of public emergency is declared in terms of Section 113 of the Constitution.
What is important to highlight is that this sentence under the Defence Act applies to military officers and not necessarily civilians. As Amnesty International, we have also just highlighted our concerns because as a human rights organization, our position is that we oppose the death penalty in all circumstances, regardless of the nature of the offense, the individual concerned, the method of execution. Therefore, our call has been for government to also repeal this particular provision, which provides for a suspension and the possibility of reinstatement during public emergencies.
Zimbabwe now joins more than 2/3 of the world's nations that have abolished the death penalty in law or practice. For the condemned, the news could not have come sooner.
I'm feeling euphoric. I'm very happy. It feels like being born again. It's a new chance, it's a new beginning.
Kuyathokozisa. Akona mina ngedwa. Ngitsho labanye abantu abaphandle. Ngitsho lezihlobo labantu enlawo. Ngoba sometimes izihlobo abanye bese zisilahlile sithi sokuphelile. Kodwa nomongameli welizwe utshengisa uthando olukhulu kakhulu.
Since coming to power in 2017, Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa has openly expressed his opposition to capital punishment. Zimbabwe last carried out an execution in 2005. Currently, 24 African countries have fully abolished the death penalty. Bonolo Maribe, SABC News.
Now back to our earlier story, to the mother city, where large crowds have started to line the streets of Cape Town to enjoy the street parade known as the Tweede Nuwe Jaar. The city of Cape Town says that about 20,000 performers from 18 minstrel troops will entertain the spectators starting from District 6. For more, we are now joined by Eddie Andrews, who is the Deputy Mayor of the city of Cape Town. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Andrews, and welcome to the Week in Review. Talk to us about the amount of work that went into preparing for the event of this magnitude.
Well, I think first and foremost, a Happy New Year to you and to all your listeners today. I think it's the beginning of 2025. When we have the Tweede Nuwe Jaar Festival, we know that the new year is upon us and we're ready to go for the year that lies ahead. So, of course, there's lots and lots of logistical planning that goes in towards hosting this event. We are really proud of our events department that work closely with the events organizer and all of our safety enforcement agencies to host a very successful event today. It's a massive event. We've got about 18 troops that are marching down the streets today, approximately 100,000 people that are coming to observe their favorite troop today. And of course, our desired outcome, that it's smooth, that it is safe, and most importantly, that everyone enjoys themselves. So yes, credit to the team that has been part of the conversations for the past couple of months. And the day has arrived, and we're looking forward to the festivities today.
And just talk to us about what this event signifies.
I think if you look at the history of the minstrels, it was entrenched in, of course, slavery and the history. We're no longer subjected to that, right? But we can reflect on what has happened and the resilience of those, the period we were living in. And now, onboard that, and of course, be a lot more resilient in 2025. And so that's why it's an opportunity for us to reflect on our past, but now own our future. And that's what excites us about being partners of this event as Team Cape Town, because our culture is important to us. We should keep on telling our stories and learn from those lessons.
I mean, about 20,000 performers are there, and I guess a lot of spectators will actually be there. Talk to us about, how this helps boost the local economy in Cape Town.
Yeah, I think it's important. You mentioned about 20,000 troops that are marching down the streets today as well. It's important because someone has to manufacture the attire of the troops, right? The entire suit, the cap. Someone has to feed the troops as well. So there are these economic opportunities. And even the CBD of town, there are quite a few eateries who are sort of very close proximity and that are now enjoying the benefits of this massive event right in the CBD of town. So there's economic benefits, right? But I think also important that these people, about 100,000 that are going to be sending them on Cape Town CBD today, have been camping out for the last day or so, finding a prime location to support their troop today and, of course, for the duration of the year when they have their respective competitions as well.
And I'm sure you have been engaging the spectators there, Mr. Andrews. What are they saying about this event?
I think everyone's excited. There's buzzing here. It's quite warm as well. And they can't wait for the festivities to start. With the first troop, I think in about 40 minutes, the first troop will be marching down the street here. And they are ready to go. Can't wait for the teams to come out and support them.
All right. Thanks so much. That is the Deputy Mayor of the City of Cape Town, Mr. Eddie Andrews. We appreciate his time. Now to these family and friends of a murdered 22-year-old crime prevention warden attending her funeral in Eldorado Park, south of Johannesburg. Chesney Kepler was gunned down allegedly by her police officer boyfriend on the day of reconciliation. The court is expected to resume on Monday. The funeral service is currently underway at the Don Maitman Hall. Let us listen in.
A few hours ago, I also received a message from our team in Hammanskraal that a 17-year-old girl was killed. On top of that, the perpetrators saw the need to burn her body and dump her body at the entrance of the family house. I'm raising these issues to demonstrate that we are at war with vultures. We are at war with heartless people. We are at war with those that have chosen to be enemies of our society. So our deepest and sincere condolences to the Kepler family, to the relatives, to the friends. One thing for sure, we are not ready to retreat. We are not ready to run away. We are ready to confront these monsters head on. To the wardens, I know you are at pain. I know where you are, you have questions and answers that you want to share with us. But one thing that I'm not going to tolerate is for the police to turn you into messengers and meaningless people. We are here to serve. We are here to defend. We are here to protect. But most importantly, we are here to serve your communities. Shasneen, the society that we thought will protect is the society that has taken your life. As we go to court tomorrow, the message is simple. Justice, justice, justice. We urge the courts, not for this case only, for many other cases, move with lightning speed so that we can send the message to the monsters that we are ready to tackle them. Shasneen? Shasneen, my dear daughter, together forever, forever, forever. Rest well till we meet again. Good night.
Gauteng Premier there, Banyazali Sufi, paying his tribute at the funeral service of Chesney Kepler, of course, saying that they are at war with those who have chosen to be enemies of our society. We are today ready to face them head on. And he also says that calling for swift justice, of course, urging the courts to move in lightning speed to make sure that the perpetrators of this kind of heinous crime are punished. You are watching Week in Review here on the SABC News channel. Do stay with us. We will be giving you more on this kind of story, or even going back to that funeral service. Do stay with us, as we will be back at the top of the hour. You're watching SABC News live from Johannesburg. Here are your headlines. The Border Management Authority says it will continue to use drones to prevent migrants from entering the country illegally.
We are here to intervene. We are here to make sure that this government has integrity.
5 emerging farmers from Melkral at Odendalsres in the Free State can breathe a sigh of relief following eviction threats. Moldova faces a security crisis after its separatist Moscow Transnistria region cut off from supplies of Russian gas, closed factories, restricted central heating, and imposed rolling power blackouts. You're still watching Week in Review live from our studios here in Johannesburg. You can participate, share your comments, or ask your own questions by giving us a call here in studio on 011-714-0680 or 81 or 82. It's an honor to have you with us at this hour. Now, the annual Cape Town Street Parade, traditionally known as the Nuwe Jaar, is currently underway in Cape Town. The entertainment will start with an opening ceremony from Grand Parade in Cape Town CBD, with celebrations continuing until 10 p.m. Ministerial troops will march across Hanover Street in District 6 and Rose Street in Bokap to perform their signature sound. Abra Bebia is on this story and joins us from the Cape Town City Hall. Abra, what are the streets of Cape Town currently looking like compared to the earlier time we spoke at this stage?
You know what, Dave? It's on days like this that I really enjoy being a journalist, because I get the opportunity to be in the middle of all of this. There are so many people here today, so many more people are streaming into the city. If you can look just behind me, we see the first troops are lining up, because they're starting at around past. So they are getting ready. So within the next, say, half an hour to an hour, this street is just going to be a rush of color and music and sound, and of course the crowd is going to be into it. And you know, being Cape Townian, it's so difficult for me to maintain my composure here today, because I want to be right there in the middle of it, but unfortunately I'm working. So let me speak to people who are going to be in the middle of it. We have loads of people to choose from to speak to today. Let me first speak to this gentleman over here. So, are you going to speak to us? Hi there. Thank you for speaking to us today. Can you tell me, I mean, we're expecting around 100,000 people streaming into Cape Town today. Why is this tradition so important to the people of Cape Town?
Right, we are here just to enjoy ourselves. We are enjoying our culture for years to come. But today is all about celebration for our youth and for everybody.
What does this represent specifically to the coloured community of Cape Town?
Like I say, the culturing and uplift the communities and people, all the people that can stand together and stuff like that, yeah.
Have you been attending this event for many years? Is it something that you as a family have been doing?
Yes, very much. We're always together as a family, put up our gazebos and organizing and go to stadiums and that, just to enjoy the culture.
Speaking of, I don't know if you can just help create a picture for our viewers who aren't here. I mean, there have been people in Cape Town, I think, what's today? Today's Saturday, from Wednesday, Thursday. People started coming in. Can you just explain what people are here to save their spots?
Talking about the spots?
Yeah, when people come in to save their spots, I believe they even get people there, they hire people.
Yeah, to look after the spots, yes. That's important. They sleep here at night and they kindly pay people to look after their spots. Understand? And that's what it's all about.
Thank you so much for speaking to us and enjoy the day. Do you know what I have been told in recent years? Whenever I ask people, why are you camping out? Because imagine camping out on the streets of Cape Town for 2-3 days leading up to this event. So they actually sleep here for those few days to make sure that they have a spot. And what I've been told is that these people actually save up throughout the year. These are not people who travel abroad for the summer, for the holidays. These are people, this is the highlight of their year. So this is obviously a very, very big event. And the fact that around 100,000 people are expected to turn up here today, and it's not only Cape Townians, we have tourists, we have people from other countries, we have people from other parts of the country who want to experience this for the first time. So it is a massive thing. It's a massive spectacle to actually experience and be part of. And we, of course, will be trying to bring you and the viewers all the visuals, all the sounds, all the colors as the day goes by. They're supposed to be carrying on till 10 o'clock, and all of this culminates in a competition where the master troupe basically gets awarded. So that's exactly what they're going to be doing. They're going to be judged on their music, they're going to be judged on their singing, they're going to be judged on their outfits, on the entire performance. But we, of course, will be here and we will be sharing every minute of the day with you, blow by blow. Studio?
Ibra, thank you. Ibra Babia, SABC News reporter there at the annual Cape Town Street Parade. Now, after months of uncertainty, 5 emerging farmers from Melkral at Odendalsres in the Free State can breathe a sigh of relief. Threats to evict them from the farm reached the ears of Minister of Land Reform and Rural Development, Mzwanele Nyonso, after their story was aired on the SABC News on Christmas Day.
Heads are expected to roll following the minister's intervention, who is cracking the whip on corruption. An appeal has been made to public servants to act with integrity and honesty.
So if this is how we're treating our people, then that means there's a problem with our government. So we cannot allow people to be treated like this. We can't give our people a 5-year lease with an understanding that automatically it will translate to 30-year lease agreement. And in the 6th or 7th year, you decide to evict them and give somebody else. You are setting them up. So that's the reason why you are here. We are here to intervene. We are here to make sure that this government has integrity.
Whatever the raise, it was all centered around officials of the department. And as leaders, we cannot run away from that. And when you listen to each and every speaker here, the manner in which they are treated in offices, the manner in which they are not even getting support from the officials. And what we didn't also like is the manner in which they are operating in terms of assisting or giving support to certain farmers or individuals. Look, there's a situation that brought us here, which is a Melkral issue, where the land was advertised, a portion of a land was advertised out of, say, 1.8 hectares. They advertised about 1.2. And they said in the advert, we are told here that the preference was going to be given to women, which is a good thing to empower women. But what they did was to fight a woman with another woman.
Some of the affected farmers have welcomed the government's response.
I was so shocked and happy at the same time to know that they are coming. It's for the first time ever I hear that minister comes from the big office in national, come to visit people at a local level. I say big up to the minister, the premier and the MEC. We are very faithful and we are very thankful for what they have done to us.
I'm happy. I don't know what I want to say, but I just want to thank God and thanks our sisters to help me to pray, and thanks for minister, thanks for premier to bring us our title deed, our farms, to help people, to help everyone.
Because of the number of problems raised, the minister has expressed a need to come back to the province and to hold an indaba with all the farmers and stakeholders. Ishmael Mudiba, SABC News, Odendalsres.
Now, traffic volumes are expected to rise across the country as holidaymakers start making their way back home after the festive season. Our reporter Calvin Dlula is monitoring the roads for us at Grasmere Toll Plaza in the south of Johannesburg. Calvin, a very good afternoon to you. How is traffic looking where you are?
To our SABC viewers at home, yes, indeed, we are here at the Grasmere Toll Plaza. As you can see, the members of the Johannesburg Metropolis Department are monitoring the situations. They are checking the car. They are doing stop and searches. People now are leaving the province of Gauteng. Others are getting inside. As you can see, traffic officers, they are busy here. Let me just try to also engage them as they are leaving. There are a lot of cars, traffic congestion here. We are not allowed to get closer to the toll plaza because we were told that we need a permit. But when we went there just to inquire about such a permit, we were told that even other media broadcasters were told not to broadcast here because apparently Central is complaining that they are disturbing or delaying traffic. Let me just get an opportunity to engage gentlemen. Yes, sawubona baba.
Njani baba?
Siyaphila mhlonishwa niyaphila?
Right.
Siyabona nawe la ku toll plaza manje uyaphuma la eGoli. Ubaba ubheke ngakuphi?
Angihlala la eValley.
Ohlala la eValley. Kuthini ukuphawula kwakho ngale stop and search? Senziwa amaphoyisa la.
Akunabi into festive noma kuphela kwe-festive. Akubi into ongoing.
Into ongoing.
Ngoba ukuba khona kwabo abantu abathize bayakhuzeka.
Oh, okay. So Chief Police visibility yasebenza
kakhulu baba.
Siyabonga baba uhambe kahle. This motorist here telling SABC News that they welcoming the stop and search, but saying that or emphasizing that this should not be something that takes place only Maheketla during the festive season, saying that they also need to do it even during the year. How are you?
Well, thank you.
I'm fine. Where are you going?
We're going to Bloemfontein and then to Bushman. So we
You are going to Bloemfontein. You are going out of the province.
Yes.
How was Gauteng?
Very good. Yeah, nice.
There is a stop and search here. How do you feel about it, especially you as the driver?
It's good that they're making sure that people are safe and doing the right thing.
The delay of the traffic, no issues?
I mean, a bit of a delay, but not so bad.
Okay. Where in Bloemfontein are you?
We don't live in Bloemfontein.
Oh, okay.
We stay the night.
Oh, okay, in Bloemfontein.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. These ones are going to Bloemfontein. They are explaining to SABC News that they are not complaining much about the stop and search. As you can see, people getting in here next to the toll plaza. Sanbonani?
Hello.
Ninjani?
Siyaphila ninjani?
Ibheke iphi indlela?
Siyala Orange Farm.
How nina niya like Goldmos?
We are the locals.
Oh, ngama locals. Nithi kuthini ukuphawula kweni njengoba amaphoyisa la ku toll plaza emise abantu eseshe imoto efuna namathi. Ikhona license?
Ikhona license.
Oh, awuthukanga nje.
Cha.
Awu akekho phuzini.
Konke kuhamba kahle.
Okay, beniphethe kanjani unyaka odlula?
Hayi bosiphethe kahle.
Okay, siyabonga kakhulu. Some of them motorists here, as I'm engaging them, they are explaining to SABC News about the Sanbonani. Siyaphila gogo yaphi?
Ugogo ekhaya ePalm Springs.
Ugogo uhlala ePalm Springs.
Yebo.
Amaphoyisa la gogo.
Ujabule kanjani ngibona amaphoyisa emgwaqeni si safe?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ni safe.
Kakhulu. 100%.
Bunjani uKhisimusi kugogo?
Hawu bumnandi kakhulu uKhisimusi.
Ubaba uright.
Inkosi phakathi.
Una license ubaba?
Oh, wayithatha ungakazali.
Wayithatha ungakazali.
Yebo, sayizigugile. Hayi expiranga.
Baba uright yonke into imoto right yonke into awuthukanga amaphoyisa obela?
Lutho cha ngithukanga lutho ngijabule.
Ungathini ukencourage abanye abashayeli bomgwaqo ngendlela abayiphatha ngayo la emgwaqeni kakhulukazi ngoba abantu sebebuyele emakhaya?
Ngithi ukubona kwenu nisibhekile emgwaqweni sonke iJMPD konke nje oyiphoyisa nje nasiphephile yonke into isiqhubela ukuthi siphile sonke.
Okay, siyabonga kakhulu.
Nisale nomusa.
Siyabonga nihambe nomusa nani.
Yeah.
You can see motorists explaining to SABC News that they don't mind at all Maheketla being stopped and searched by the members of the Johannesburg Metro Police Department, saying that they feel safe if they see police visibility on the road. We are camping here next to Grasmere Toll Plaza, monitoring cars that are getting in and outside of the province. As you know, now people are getting back to work, others are getting back to school, so the traffic volumes are expected to be high during this time of the day, especially later Maheketla. But for now, because as we are standing here, we are also disturbing this operation, I have to say back to you in studio.
Calvin Gludla, the SABC News reporter, monitoring the traffic for us at Grasmere Toll Plaza in the south of Johannesburg. We will be bringing you those updates throughout the day. Thanks so much indeed. Do stay with us. The Weekend Review continues after this short break. Welcome back and thanks for staying with Week in Review. Now, Amazulu King Misuzulu Gazwelitin has filed papers in the Pietermaritzburg High Court to divorce one of his wives. According to the court papers that are in possession of the SABC, the king says their relationship has broken down and there's no reasonable prospect of reconciliation. The king further says in the papers that they have experienced trouble in their marriage on several occasions and had tried to restore their relationship without success. The SABC is withholding the name of the wife to protect the identity of their children. Meanwhile, the attorney of the Queen, Melusi Xulu, issued a statement confirming that divorce papers have been filed. He says he is not at liberty to discuss the merits of the case. He says King Misuzulu and his client are married in a civil union. Joining us now to discuss the cultural implications of royal divorces in South Africa is Prof. Gugu Mazibuko, who is a cultural expert and associate professor for African languages at the University of Johannesburg. Doctor, a very good afternoon to you and thank you for joining us. Just to note that we are also joined by Professor Musa Xulu, who is also a cultural expert and director at the Heritage Development Trust. A very good afternoon to you, Prof. Xulu. Thanks so much for joining us indeed. Prof. Mazibuko, let's start with you. I mean, the importance of institution of marriage amongst Amazulu people in particular. Let's talk about that.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Mahe. Good afternoon, Prof. Xulu and SABC viewers. Thank you very much for having me. The institution of marriage is very important amongst Amazulu because marriage institution is the pillar of society and it provides the framework of family life. So it is highly valued by Amazulu as it is the one that it builds the nation. It is where the nation is built from families. So strong families are very important. Therefore, marriage forms part and parcel of such a very important institution.
Prof. Xulu, perhaps let's come to you. Just your take on that question, just the importance of, the institution of marriage amongst Amazulu people. What's your take on that?
Well, thanks, Mahe. Thanks, Prof. Mazibuko. Prof. Mazibuko is correct. Maybe just to give a little bit of a background, on my way to getting my first PhD, I studied the institution of marriage and its ritualization. In other words, its perfection among Amazulu people. When you go to Home Affairs and register a marriage, in Zulu cultural tradition, it's not complete yet. It has to be in the form of an event where Amahubo songs are sung and where the ancestors are informed and are assumed to be present that there's a new wife here. And that then makes the marriage to be permanent. Zulus don't really have the concept of divorce when the marriage has been perfected in that way, because when you divorce, you have to go back to the ancestors and tell them that you don't want this wife. So anymore. So it's a very foundational institution that has built the kingdom, the homesteads, the clans, and everyone over many millennia of Zuluness.
Yeah. Let's come back to you, Prof. Mazibuko. Just how common are royal divorces among both the AmaZulu royal kingdom as well as other royal houses in South Africa?
Well, divorce is very uncommon, especially amongst the Zulu kings. But according to historical records, there is a divorce that once took place for one of the king, the late father's, the late king's father, King Peguzulu, went through a divorce. But it's something that is not very common. But however, when we look at the statistics, because we can witness that especially KZN is ranked third with a high number of divorces that are taking place. So it's something that is becoming very common now, because as Prof. Kulu has already alluded to the fact that amongst AmaZulu there was no divorce. If you marry a wife, you take a wife. If the wife misbehaves or does anything that is not according to what is accepted in that family, you are not supposed to divorce that wife. But a lot of engagements, involvement of families, including the chief negotiators, both families coming together. And then at the end, if the matter is not resolved, but the wife will remain in the homestead with the children, because it was mainly to protect everyone, so that the children will also grow up in this homestead.
Let's come to you, Prof. Kulu. I mean, this is one interesting aspect amid all these developments. I mean, in the case of AmaZulu monarch, it is reported that the couple has been living separately for a year now. What ideally would have been the cultural processes behind the scenes?
Well, there would have been discussions among families, but you must remember, Maka, that I said this marriage of the king to the wife he's divorcing now was not perfected, meaning that the traditional aspects of the marriage were not performed. So it remains more or less a civil marriage according to the courts and home affairs and so on. When a Zulu woman marries, she does not marry just an individual. She marries to a clan or the whole family and that clan, if the marriage is perfected. So there could have been problems, maybe lifestyle problems, and there were lots of rumors about this and that, which I'm not at liberty to divulge. But when you talk about traditions and Zulu traditions, His Majesty, our king, is currently not perfectly married to anyone. And it is said that he's going to be marrying somebody during this month or early next month. Maybe that one could become an open marriage. We still don't know, but it has been announced as such. That would be the first real marriage, according to Zulu customs, that would have happened. So when it's private, like they just go to Home Affairs and they get a marriage certificate and so on, it becomes very difficult for families to participate because they were never involved except for lobola negotiations. But in the actual marriage, the actual wedding day is a public affair in Zulu society and in many societies in sub-Saharan Africa. That did not happen with His Majesty, the King of the Zulus.
That's quite interesting, but I want to come to this point, Prof. Mazibuko. How empowered are the spouses that do not come from royal houses in such a case, in terms of contesting a divorce, how empowered are they?
Well, because the divorce is handled by the court of law, so the law will, will determine what will take place, and unfortunately, we are not aware of the type of marriage that they have, but we think that the spouse or the queen is having a right, according to the court of law, depending on the nature of the divorce and also the settlement, as well as all the processes that will take place. But you know, this marriage is short-lived. I think it has been not more than 5 years. So we'll see what it goes.
And I want to ask you, Prof. Mazibuko, as well as Prof. Xulu, this question in terms of then what becomes of royal children following the separation or even divorce of their parents, considering that these are children who would probably become heirs to the throne in future?
Well, unfortunately, the matrimonial dissolution, it has a very negative impact on children. In this case, the princes and the princesses, yes. But that doesn't mean anything will be taken away from them, even when there is divorce. But they will remain princes and princesses.
And Prof. Xulu, what would be the worst case scenario in that instance?
Well, it's interesting because I think Prof. Mazibuko has answered it quite correctly. What is likely to happen is this, and I can see it happening in the in future. The wife that is being divorced now has a son, and unless something happens, that son will definitely come back to claim the throne of kingship, of Zulu kingship, unless something extraordinary happens going forward. So they will not lose their royal status. It's just that, as Prof. Mazibuko says, divorce is harmful, and more harmful in a traditional community or society where basically the concept of divorce has not been embraced completely. It will happen, but that son that she has is likely to come back in some many years to come to claim the throne because nothing will be taken away from him.
Quite interesting. Then what would perhaps let me rephrase this question. Would the AmaZulu king now be obliged to remarry following this divorce?
AmaZulu king, I said, is getting married later this month in what is being said will be a traditional wedding, which could perfect it, but it's got its own problems that I'm not at liberty to discuss here. I said in some other conference that maybe the Zulu king needs a very strong panel of advisors on both the issues of kingship, the administration, as well as the issues of how to build his family, because he's engaging on a very important journey. But if there's all these gaps and divorces and incomplete marriages, it could make the royal household going forward to be very weak.
Yeah, let me thank both of you for coming through. We appreciate your time, Prof. Musa Xulu there, who is also a cultural expert and director at the Heritage Development Trust, and another cultural expert, Prof. Kuku Mazibuko, and who is also associate professor for African languages at the University of Johannesburg. I appreciate your time. Thanks so much indeed. Do stay with us. The Week in Review continues after this short break. It was another tumultuous year for the Tshwane municipality that saw yet another mayor face the chop, making way for a new leader in the capital city. The changes also brought the ANC back into power in Tshwane since the party was ousted during the 2016 municipal elections. After former Tshwane Mayor Silas Brink was ousted, Action SA's Dr. Nasipi Moya was voted in by the majority of Tshwane councillors, honouring the promise of clean, potable water for the people of Hammanskraal, improving the Tshwane municipality's ailing finances and putting the interest of all residents in the capital city first is just one of the promises made by Dr. Moya.
It was at this announcement where former Tshwane Mayor Silas Brink's fate was sealed.
Thanks to his arrogance, thanks to his behavior of thinking that services must only go to affluent areas where is their stronghold as the DA, and the township must be ignored. So we are where we are because of him. It's not because we hate him, it's not because of his color, it's because of his incompetence.
Yes, Silas is going around saying he's the best mayor. People from the DA are going around saying actually the DA and Silas have turned around this municipality. Look at what's coming out of those SDBIPs. They're not meeting half of their targets.
He was given marching orders for poor performance and failing to turn the Tshwane municipality's finances around, and for apparent inferior services in townships.
All the services, they are rendered to that site. But here, if you look, for a typical example, you can go and look at the sports facilities. Look at the place where the young people are playing. It's dirty. There's no one who's taking care. There's no one who's cleaning there. So, hence, I'm saying there's a difference between the suburbs and informal settlement. Our Silas Brink, he treated us. I don't know what I can say like, but one thing for sure, he used to undermine us.
We want the street light because it's dark here, and then even the road is too much potholes. Even the rent is high. We can't afford to pay the rent because that money is too small for us. We are a pensioner.
Chunk of money that they collect for revenue come from the townships, but they don't look after their bosses, the people who have actually been built for that. So the division of residents is the main problem. They should stop corruption. They should prioritize the residents who are the ratepayers.
Brink was elected in March 2023. He served as leader of the DA-led multi-party coalition that comprised of several political parties, including Action SA. Ironically, with the help of Action SA, Brink was booted out in September this year.
I will be the mayoral candidate. We'll field our candidacy and we'll fight to win. And the opportunity will be there for the parties in council to make their decision. And it is important to say, as I said to you before when we spoke, we made every effort to persuade the ANC not to bring a motion of no confidence. That would have given the parties the time and the space to think carefully what's in the best interests of the people of Tshwane. Unfortunately, they rejected that. They proceeded with a motion of no confidence. And there now seems to be confusion about what the plan is. I mean, it's easy to vote a mayor out, vacate the mayoral committee. It's more difficult to put together an arrangement where people actually take responsibility for government. We are clear as to what we will do. We will continue with the agenda that we had before.
Despite Brink's ambitions, a new dawn was ushered in, and the ANC, with its majority seats in council, led the new order.
We put the interests of the people of Tshwane. Look, Action SA was in the coalition with DA. We had to persuade them for 2 years to say, come over this side so that we serve the people.
The city needs a very clear way forward. It needs a strong intergovernmental relations framework with provincial and national government to deal with a city that is effectively bankrupt as you and I speak right now.
We do have a significant number of representation that gives expression to the formation of this stability or this configuration of a joint political management of some sort.
Tshwane's second female mayor since democracy took up the reins of the capital city. She promised to leave no resident behind.
Residents of Tshwane, hear me clearly. It is not lost on me the anxiety and the political stability that has plagued the city. My vow is to end that cycle of uncertainty and bring stability to the city we all call home.
She served as deputy mayor for about 8 months and acting Tshwane mayor after Brink was ousted. Dr. Moya also held several senior positions. In Tshwane, her former coalition partners expressed mixed reactions to her victory.
We will continue to support Nasipi if she continues to put residents first.
I'm glad I'm not in her shoes. I don't think she's going to make it.
She also introduced her mayoral committee, and the ANC's Eugene Modise was elected as deputy mayor. They face a major task as Tshwane's finances remain in tatters, owing billions to Eskom and struggling to increase revenue collection. Tshwane's residents owe the municipality over 20 billion rand for unpaid services. Moya is also facing criticism that she is being used by the ANC ahead of the 2026 municipal elections.
Of course, there are people who want to insult me and call me names, but I think what is important to the residents is that as the executive mayor, I have made commitments towards the residents, and those commitments, I will honor them together with the team of MMCs.
While 36-year-old Dr. Moya, who hails from the Eastern Cape, faces her biggest political task yet, political analysts say the constant leadership changes in Tshwane often come with great instability, especially inside the Tshwane Council, where tensions often rise. And communities end up suffering.
We thought that now things were getting better and thinking what was going to come out, but now it is currently getting worse, so we don't know.
Moya will soon reflect on her 100 days in office, and many are wondering, will there be a clear picture of improvements, or are her promises just lip service? Patricia Fasachi, SABC News in Pretoria.
Now, a self-taught technician from Limpopo who invented a money counting machine says he wants to impart his skills to young people. 55-year-old Gideon Chisimba from Madiza village near Trichat is the first black South African to design a cash counting machine. Named the Verti-Node Counter, Chisimba's sophisticated invention has been endorsed by the Central Bank of China and is already in operation in the East Asian country. SABC News reporter Lutendo Bobodi and video journalist Llewellyn Castens visited Chisimba and compiled the following report.
Gideon Chisimba says he's been fascinated by electronics from childhood. Growing up in abject poverty, Chisimba dropped out of high school and became a taxi driver. However, his passion for fixing electronic devices enticed him to leave the taxi industry. Chisimba says it took him 5 years of persistent efforts to finally complete the node counter. His machine is programmed to work with over 40 different currencies. With very little education, Chisimba says he relied on natural talent and the knowledge he acquired working at a bank.
This is come from God, because I was fixing the radio when I start, I fixing the car, I do everything with using a hand. That's why I decided to do the note counter. I worked 20 years for the note counter machine with the top safe. That's why I decided to do my own machine. Then to do my own machine, it took me 5 years to design this machine.
Chisimba says his project was not devoid of challenges. He had to navigate a constant stream of negative opinions and discouragement to achieve his goal.
It's not easy to design the machine because you have to contact other people that can give the negative things, saying, no, you can't do the machine. Well, you're a vendor, you come from Makungwi village and now you can't do this thing. I try to push and I pray God to help me to do this.
Chisimba has massive dreams for his invention.
I want to create jobs. My mind is want to create jobs. I want the new guys to do what I'm doing. That's my aim. Okay. Yes, I want to create jobs.
Meanwhile, Chisimba has also invented a portable multi-purpose gadget that functions as a cell phone charger, a tire inflating machine, and a torch.
It's 250, that's why it's off.
This portable neck air blower is also one of Chisimba's innovations. Rutendo Bobori, SABC News, Matiza Village.
Yeah, incredibly inspiring story there. Now, studying abroad can open up greater possibilities for individuals' job prospects here at home and internationally. But South Africans considering this need to be cognizant of the monetary costs involved. However, in the long run, the benefits of international study are likely to heavily outweigh the costs incurred. Nompumelelo Siziba spoke to Megan Williams of SABC International, an organization that assists South Africans with migration issues, money transfers, and studying abroad.
The decision to study overseas requires a full appreciation of the kind of capital that will be needed to fund a student over however long a period they're set to study, covering not just tuition fees, but accommodation and the broader cost of living, which would also include things like transport.
In the UK and US, we're looking at around £15,000 to £20,000 per year, whereas Europe is a bit cheaper. You're looking at around 13,000 euros a year. And then your more affordable options, as I mentioned, would be Mauritius, Malaysia, and Dubai. So the prices really differ. If you're looking to go to a top-tier university, a Russell Group university, for instance, you're looking on the more expensive side, such as £30,000 a year to study there. But the cheaper options would start at around £15,000 or £16,000 a year.
For many South African families, these kinds of costs would simply be out of reach. But through the network of universities it's partnered with, SABC International says it's possible to secure partial scholarships for bright students, giving those who otherwise would not be able to afford a fighting chance to study abroad.
We have direct communication with all of these universities. We can just send them an email and get an instant answer. Therefore, we can assist our students with partial scholarships. No university offers full scholarships, but we can assist with discounts of fees. Another thing to note is we do have affordable options that students can choose from. In Mauritius, Malaysia, Dubai, Europe, this is more affordable than if you'd want to study in the UK or US. We do have a sports scholarship department at SABC, where we assist athletes to study abroad while gaining a scholarship. And these scholarships are quite big. This is mostly in the US and the UK.
The benefits of studying overseas go well beyond the academics, affording the student an opportunity to develop critical soft skills in the area of better understanding cultural differences.
I would say a new cultural experience. You meet students from all over the world. You learn how to communicate on an international level with different cultures. And this really benefits you in your future and in the workplace as well.
Students who study overseas are encouraged to try and secure work placements related to their field, as working in the area of your discipline goes a long way in making you more attractive relative to your competitors vying for the same job opportunities.
I think studying abroad contributes hugely to your career. And a great thing to do during your studies is to take part in a work placement year. This is in your third year of studies, which I highly recommend students do. You would be placed at a company by your university with the help of your university. They'll assist you with your CV. They'll assist you to apply for these jobs at these companies. You'll earn money while doing so during that year. And it's a great addition to your CV. So once you go back to university and complete your final year of studies, you'll have this experience. And that company that you worked for during that year might hire you once you complete your studies.
SABC International says other skills that come with studying overseas include a young person quickly becoming independent by having to run their own affairs. Another one is the opportunity of being able to learn a new language in those instances where a student goes to study in a non-English speaking country, like Germany or China, for example. Nompumelelo Siziba, SABC News, Johannesburg.
Now, Eastern Cape's scholar transport system has faced repeated setbacks in recent years. Many parents struggle with scholar transport shortages, leaving them to fund their children's transport themselves. As we approach the opening of schools, parents are waiting anxiously, unsure of the effectiveness of scholar transport this year.
Hitchhiking, an unsafe yet sometimes the only alternative for learners to get to school. Many learners have found themselves pushed into that least favorable option. Parents have also raised concerns about safety as they fear the worst.
The place we live in is dangerous. The kids walk to school. They are raped, and previously a child drowned as they were coming back from school.
Learners have missed classes, putting a strain on their studies.
We miss some classes because of this. Others remain at home, and those are not our intentions because we want to go to school.
We risk our lives when we hitchhike because we cannot trust anyone.
The Department of Transport is in the process of ensuring that all outstanding payments are processed to eliminate possible conflict between service providers and the department.
Our preoccupation at this moment is to ensure that those with outstanding payments, those payments are processed so we can start this new school year on a clean slate without anyone having been owed any money. And of course, the process to screen the vehicles, to test for their roadworthiness is set to commence in earnest by next week. So those are the plans that we have at the moment. But of course, the grand plan is to ensure that the scholar transport provision this year is a much improved one from the one we had in 2024.
The department says it will also commence with vehicle screenings for roadworthiness next week. Nandi Bablaki, SABC News, Eastern Cape.
You're watching the Week in Review here on the SABC News channel. Thanks for staying with us. Now, U.S. House of Representatives Speaker Mike Johnson was re-elected to the chamber's top job by a razor-thin margin. It highlighted potential gaps among President-elect Donald Trump's Republicans on Capitol Hill. Johnson won re-election with 218 votes, the minimum number needed.
The Honorable Mike Johnson of the state of Louisiana, having received a majority of the votes cast, is duly elected Speaker of the House of Representatives for the 119th Congress.
Louisiana Republican Mike Johnson was re-elected as the Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives on Friday by a razor-thin margin. After a roll call vote that lasted nearly 2 hours, two Republican opponents switched their votes to support Johnson after lengthy negotiations.
Today, my friends, our nation is the envy of the world. Why? Because we have been marked by a spirit and a people who are explicitly that. We are explicitly American.
It's not immediately clear what made Representatives Ralph Norman and Keith Self change their minds. Another 6 Republicans had initially declined to vote at all before casting ballots for Johnson. The vote served as an early test for the Republican Party, as it tries to advance President-elect Donald Trump's agenda of tax cuts and border enforcement. It also tested Trump's clout on Capitol Hill, where a handful of Republicans have shown a willingness to defy him. Trump endorsed Johnson on Monday, following weeks of uncertainty.
Now, the United Nations High Commission for Refugees is seeking to garner international support for the people of Mozambique who are dealing with the effects of post-election violence. The body reports that some 3,000 people have had to flee Mozambique because of ongoing unrest there.
The organ responsible for peace and security in the 16-member Southern African Development Community, SADC, has issued a statement regarding the ongoing violence in Mozambique. In a statement, Tanzanian President Samia Suluhu Hassan, who is the chairperson of the SADC organ on politics, defense and security cooperation, has asked feuding parties in Mozambique to embrace dialogue. Concerned about the continued loss of lives, injuries and economic disruptions, she says SADC is ready to facilitate dialogue that will put an end to hostilities and bring about normalcy in Mozambique. President Hassan notes that the hostilities pose a significant threat to cross-border trade and the free movement of people in the region. The statement follows another one a week ago issued by the bloc's chairman, Zimbabwe's President Emmerson Mnangagwa, asking feuding parties in Mozambique to respect the ruling of the country's Constitutional Council on the election results. The results saw Daniel Chapo win, continuing the decades-long reign of the country's ruling Frelimo party. Despite the latest statement, critics feel the Southern African Development Community could do more to restore calm in Mozambique. Election monitoring platform Decide says around 277 people have lost their lives since the violence began. Mozambique, already reeling from the effects of Cyclone Chido, could see the International Monetary Fund reduce its economic growth forecast for 2024 from 5 to 4.3%. Isaac Lucando, SABC, Dar es Salaam.
Well, that's it for today. Join us again tomorrow for the week ahead at 12 p.m. right here on the SABC News channel. SA Today up next to give you local and international news right here on the channel. From myself, Mark Mutave, as well as the rest of the Week in Review team. Thanks so much for watching. See you tomorrow.